welcome to the Codman Square Neighborhood Council's monthly community meeting. I'm so excited to be with all of you here tonight. It's been a long day of watching the election unfold, so it's nice to take a break and just focus on our community a bit and get all the updates on what's going on. I'm going to get started in the agenda because we have a lot to cover and I want to make sure we start on time and end on time. Usually we start off with the police reports from both C11 and B3, but Sergeant Dunford informed me that because of the election, they've been put on longer shifts in case there's any unrest. So whatever updates they have for us, they'll be sharing with us after the meeting, and I'll make sure it gets out to everyone. So on the agenda that I sent out, we were going to start with the 2020 year in review. We like to do this every year just so that everyone is reminded of all of the great work happening with the Codman Square Neighborhood Council. Really thanks to all of you on this call. We also do nominations during our November meeting, the nominations for our board. So once you get a recap of everything that's been happening over the year with the Neighborhood Council, maybe you get really excited or really interested in one of the projects or one of the initiatives, and you might nominate yourself or nominate someone else that would be appropriate to serve on the board. So I'm going to share my screen so we can review what we've been doing this year. Can everyone see this? Great. So normally, the Codman Square Neighborhood Council meets the first Wednesday of every month at the Great Hall, 6 Norfolk Street. We meet in person. You can see our meetings here, intergenerational, well-attended. You can even see some of the young people, see Amani and JJ in the front, our teams presenting. And we present all the information of what's going on in the community. We hear from the elected officials, and we talk about all the initiatives that we've been working on and allow others to share announcements and new business. And so we have our monthly meetings. We never miss a meeting. We don't take any breaks in the summertime, but our board members are responsible for coordinating these meetings and really getting information out to the public. We started the year off strong until COVID hit. Then we had to move all of our meetings to virtual meetings. And we do have a YouTube channel where we post all of our meetings that we record so that people can go back and see what they missed, comment, ask for additional information, reach out to any of the speakers or presenters. And it's a really nice way to just keep in touch and be up to date real time. So visit our YouTube channel, subscribe, and you can see all of the meetings that we've had virtually. Another initiative of the Codman Square Neighborhood Council is the Dorchester Winter Farmers Market. We host this market in collaboration with the Codman Square Health Center, and it's held at 6 Norfolk Street, the Great Hall. And this is a wonderful initiative because we know how important it is to bring fresh, local, organic produce to our neighborhoods. And when you think about the winter season, you don't think about having access to a farmer's market. So we've created an opportunity with the Codman Square Health Center to make sure we're still bringing fresh, local, organic produce to the community. This market is held from January through March, and so we were able to only have to cancel 1 or 2 markets once COVID hit. We still had a really good season. Once we were in the middle of COVID, we were doing everything we could to distribute PPE to the community. We want to really thank the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services, Councilor Andrea Campbell's office, and Councilor Wu's office, because they made sure to get as much equipment and protective material out to us so that we could disperse it to the community, get it out to our grocery store. This is Gonzalo from America's Food Basket. We got all the masks and other resources out to the community as quickly as we could. Another initiative of the Codman Square Neighborhood Council is the Codman Square Park. We work closely with the Friends of the Codman Square Park in this redesign process. If you guys don't know, this park is located at the corner of Washington and Talbot, and we received funds from the Brown Fund to do some park design, visioning, and planning, and you can visit our website, codmansquarecouncil.org, to see what that process looked like. It was very involved with young people, merchants, the religious community, our elected officials, residents of all ages, everyone really involved with figuring out what the future of that park could be. And so now we're moving into the implementation phase, and we want to really just get everyone energized again for moving this process forward. We were able to secure around $600,000 in the capital budget from the city, And now we're going to seek CPA dollars and additional Brown funds for implementation. So if you're excited about park design and improvements, the Codman Square Park effort is a good fit for you. We also run the Codman Square Farmers Market. This market is held at the Codman Square Park from July through October. And again, we're bringing fresh, local, organic produce to a neighborhood that needs it. We have major health inequities in our community, from diabetes type 2 to obesity. And so this is our effort to make sure that we have access to the really great food that we should have access to. And this initiative was a little difficult this year because we had to comply with all of the COVID guidelines from the city and the state and the Massachusetts Department of Agriculture. But our market manager, Shamara Rhodes, and our bold teams did an excellent job complying with all the rules and regulations, keeping the vendors, staff, farmers, community, everyone, volunteers, everyone safe for the entire market. We didn't have a single incident, so I'm very grateful for that. But if you're interested in food justice and having access to fresh, local, organic produce, the Codman Square Farmers Market is the way to go. In August, we always have our annual Health of Codman Square event with the Boston Public Health Commission. And this event really focuses on the health of Codman Square as it compares to the rest of the city. We look at all of the commission data. We look at our own neighborhood data. We look at our initiatives, what we're doing, what we need to do more of. It's a really important annual event that we have every year. And this year we really focused on COVID-19 and the impact that it's having in our community. And again, you can visit our August meeting on our YouTube channel to see how that meeting went. We also help facilitate and organize community discussions on important issues like some of the unhealthy food options in our neighborhood, or cannabis wanting to come into Codman Square, green development, smoke-free homes, whatever the community is passionate about. We try to make sure that we're discussing those matters and figuring out ways to improve the quality of life in our community. Normally, we are supporting other organizations in the neighborhood, other events in the neighborhood. Here, the bold teams are promoting census, 3 photos in. The first photo, we're advocating for the menthol ban in Massachusetts, which went into effect in June. We supported Proper City Community Outreach with Remembering Simeon for mothers that have lost their infants and babies. We supported the Dr. Loesch Family Parks Harvest Festival. So we really try to support the surrounding organizations in the community. Normally in the spring, we do the Love Your Block event with the City of Boston and all of the community organizations in the neighborhood, where we go and clean up parks and clean up the neighborhood. So if you're interested in just improving, the space in our community and cleanups, Love Your Block is a great way to do that. Not just in the spring, but 365. We can do that every day of the year. In November, we host the annual Hidden Heroes and Sheroes event. It's a big celebration where we are acknowledging people in the community that are doing great work to improve the community, but do not want to be acknowledged. They are hidden and they don't want the recognition. And so we really go out of our way to identify these individuals and give them all the praise for all the work they do in the neighborhood. Normally it's held in the Great Hall and it's this wonderful event. You can see photos from last year, but this year it will be virtual. So I will put information in the chat about how to get your tickets to this event. The awardees are here. You probably know many of these people. Let's really show out for them. The tickets are free this year, but there are still opportunities to donate to the youth scholarships and to the event as a whole. Marilyn will be talking more about it later in the meeting, but it's an annual event that's organized by the Codman Square Neighborhood Council and the Greater Four Corners Action Coalition. It's really a phenomenal event. And lastly, in December, we hold the annual Codman Square tree lighting. This is a really important event to just bring families out in the holiday season and light our tree that's housed at the Codman Square Park. Last year, we had more than 400 families out in the park. We were giving out gifts with thumbprint cares and really just enjoying the season together. This year will not be like that because we are dealing with COVID-19, but we will find some way to make sure we're all in the holiday spirit. So that is a summary of just some of the things that the Codman Square Neighborhood Council does in the community with its community partners. And I just really want to thank all of the board members, all of the affiliate board members, all of the community organizations we work with, because we are a volunteer organization, but look at all that we're able to do throughout the year. So it's just wonderful to review it and think about how much we accomplish throughout the year. If there are no questions, I'm actually going to hand it off to Lisa Hamblin. She's the secretary of the Codman Square Neighborhood Council, because I want her to discuss board nominations and how we can get more people involved with the Codman Square Neighborhood Council.
Oh, definitely. I'm impressed by just how much has been covered this past year in spite of COVID-19. So it's very impressive. But November is the time that we are looking for new board members. We have openings for residents. There are spaces for 11 board members who are residents of Codman Square. And then we have an additional 11 seats for those who are part of community organizations and entities who serve Codman Square community. So just to give you a little background, the Codman Square Neighborhood Council is made up of residents and community partners, and we're seeking to improve the living and working conditions in Codman Square. Now, the organization, we inform the community of opportunities to strengthen our health, families, and neighborhood. It works to empower residents by increasing communication between the Codman Square community, government departments, and elected officials to move Codman Square forward. Now, in addition to participating in the monthly community meetings, which are held the first Wednesdays of each month, we have board meetings on the second Wednesdays of each month as well. And then we also have committee meetings. I'm going to also put a link in the chat so that you can take a look at the survey, and you can nominate yourself, and you can nominate a neighbor or anyone that you would think would be a good fit or who would make a great board member. We are looking for talent, all kinds of talent. So please consider us. And if there are no questions, I will hand you back to Cynthia.
Thank you, Lisa. And you'll put
You're
the
welcome.
link in the chat for us?
Yep, I'm going to do that right now.
Excellent.
Okay.
So we nominate in November, and then we have elections in December. So make sure you get your nominations in. It can be yourself, and like Lisa said, it could be anyone else that you think is a good fit that lives in Codman Square. Are there any questions about the process? If you guys have questions, you can always put them in the chat and we'll make sure we get to them. Sean Burgess is monitoring the chat tonight. Thank you. Otherwise, you can feel free to unmute yourself if it makes sense in transition. Okay, moving along in the agenda, you guys have heard in the past that we're looking at the establishments that exist in Codman Square in our Merchants District. And we actually did an assessment in October that created a lot of community conversations. So I'm going to hand it off to Jeff to talk about that assessment and what our next steps might be.
Good evening, everybody. How's everyone doing? Hope everyone's staying safe and healthy. As Cynthia said, last October, we took an inventory of the establishments that exist in the commercial district. And this includes Washington Street, Talbot Avenue, and Norfolk Street in Codman Square. And we found that there was a lot of the same businesses in our community that happen over and over. There's just this big redundancy of 31 beauty or hair establishments or nail establishments. We have 19 convenience stores and 17 restaurants, none of which you can sit down and have a healthy meal with your family. So we discussed if we wanted to enhance what we have access to in our community. And many residents shared that they wanted healthy food options. They want to be able to have a sit-down restaurant, not just something you could take out or get fast food. You know, we wanted bookstores, you know, a daycare, a baby gym, and my favorite, a place to sit down and have a good cup of coffee. So Cynthia, if you could allow me to share my screen for a second, please. Okay. Can everyone see? Thumbs up?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So again, back in October, we did this assessment. And the boundaries are from the Great Hall to Park Street along Washington Street, from the Great Hall down to Gallivan Boulevard along Washington, from the Great Hall to Morton Street along Norfolk Street, the Great Hall to Blue Avenue along Talbot, and from the Great Hall to Dorchester Avenue along Talbot. So it's about an area of a square mile or so. And what you can see is, here's the list of the beauty salons, the hair salons, and nail shops. There's a total of 31. That's just way too many for this very small area. If we move on, the next highest thing we had was churches. There were 21 churches in this tiny, small area. Followed up with convenience stores, 19 of those. And then the restaurants, you have Billy's Texas Barbecue, KFC, and a McDonald's, within a few blocks of each other, several Caribbean food restaurants, and pizza. Next, you have quite a few auto services and and body repair shops. We have a few banks, a few other food places, some laundromats. You have a few cell phone stores, a couple of pharmacies, and some other businesses. And then when you get down here, you have your community resources, you have your post offices, the courthouse, the library, YMCA. We have a few schools, a couple of lodges, and then we have several vacancies now. Because this was done last year, I'm not sure the accuracy of the vacancies. Maybe we have more, maybe we have less. But one of the things that we want to think about is, what do we have to leave Codman Square to do? I personally know that our family, we do a lot of Uber Eats, and many of the things that we want to get are healthy options, and we have to get them in from other neighborhoods, Jamaica Plain, sometimes even as far as Austin, Brighton. I think that it'd be great to have a delicious, healthier food option somewhere close by so that we can give our money to someone that is local. Another thing that's starting to improve, getting closer to home, we have the South Bay shopping area. But again, that's not directly in our neighborhood. Again, there's not anywhere to sit down and grab a cup of coffee. I think that we have the coffee shop there by Ashmont Station. I believe it was Flat Black, but it was changed to something else. The name eludes me, but there are a number of things that we would like to see. Some of the things that were mentioned were, bookstores or flower shops. We'd like to have a pet store, maybe a baby gym, somewhere fun for the children to play. Daycares would always be welcome. We always need more childcare, more quality childcare. Maybe another ice cream shop, something closer than the Ice Cream Smith. And again, more healthy food. That was all I have. Does anyone have any questions? If you would like to get involved in the effort in developing and administering the survey, you could send us an email at csncouncil@gmail.com. We'd like to get more businesses and landlords to give us an input on what they'd like to see in the community. Thank you.
I think it'll be interesting to see how the survey goes after COVID. I think there are a lot of merchants that are realizing they don't need their storefront, or people are realizing they want different things in the neighborhood. So it'd be interesting to see what that survey looks like in 2020. If there are no other questions for Jeff, any thoughts or comments? There's one from Rep. Holmes. You want to read it?
So Russell Holmes says that he considers to hear what is desired and what is not liked about what is here. The businesses that are here are driven by demand. And I think that is partially true, but I think that this neighborhood is changing daily. It's changing drastically. And I think that the needs are also changing, but the needs are not being met as far as in the timeliness as we would like them to be met. I don't think we need to wait until after, we have 100 people say want coffee to deliver a coffee shop. I think that we could be proactive in trying to present newer, healthier, better options for the community.
Thank you, Jeff. If there are no other questions or comments, make sure you get involved with this surveying opportunity. It is an opportunity to figure out what the demand is. We'll actually know what residents want to see in Codman Square. I know you guys are familiar with the efforts to try to prevent a Popeyes from opening in Codman Square. The licensing board most recently denied their request for a license to open, and so it's been sitting built out but vacant on Washington Street for about 3 years now. And no one wants a vacant storefront, but it's also thinking about that Popeyes being located between a McDonald's and a KFC, and how often do you see that in other neighborhoods? So we're just trying to navigate what residents do want to see in the neighborhood, and then try to figure out how to advocate for those things to come to Codman Square. So stay tuned and get involved with the survey. Speaking of merchants in Codman Square, we have a very unique effort taking place at an establishment on the Talbot Ave, 191 Talbot Ave. This is new construction and new commercial space available. And we have Milton here to talk about what's been going on at 191 Talbot and tell us about this really unique opportunity.
My name is Milton Bramble, and I'm representing the 191 Talbot team this evening. And thank you, Cynthia and your council, for having me this evening. I don't do well in front of crowds. I still feel a little nervous. I don't know why, and it was on Zoom, but it's all good. So on Talbot Ave, on 191, it's brand new construction of 14 workforce affordable housing units, studios, 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms, and ranging from $1,400 to about $1,700, and it's at 80% AMI. So between 60% AMI and 80% AMI, the unit's affordability. The unique thing of this development that we're creating on 191 Talbot is that on the ground level, we have 1,800 square feet of retail space, which that we decided that we wanted to involve the neighborhood, to have a say in what they would like to see in the neighborhood, what's going to add the most value to the neighborhood. So we didn't just take anyone's application in for the commercial space. We had convenience stores, nail shops, barber shops that were interested in occupying the space. But we decided to have a competition within the neighborhood and let the people of the neighborhood pick. So what we did was we had 13 candidates, and we narrowed it down to about 6. And they put together a 5-minute video submission of what their business is and what value would add to the neighborhood, and what impact it's going to have. So we recently put that video out to the WOW Coalition, CDC. I forget the 2 other organizations, excuse me for that. And we've narrowed it down to 3 finalists now. So we do have a winner, and we're in talks with the winner to if they're going to still occupy the space. So that was the formula we came up with. We just, I'm a resident of Dorchester, and I've been living in this neighborhood for 36 years, and I'm on a development team, and we think that we should reach out to the neighborhood to see what the neighborhood wants. If it's home ownership or it's rental, we like to always see what the neighborhood wants like first before we go ahead and just try to push something down, neighborhood's throw and say, here neighborhood, this is what we feel like belongs here. No, we like the neighborhood to have input what they feel like belongs in our neighborhood, because I'm a part of the neighborhood too as well. So like I said, I live in Dorchester. Don't plan on moving out of Dorchester. Plan on being here for the rest of my life. So I want it to be of value to my family and also other families in the neighborhood. Like, we get to control our own situation. It's not just healthy that if someone from another neighborhood or from other places can just come in, take all the wealth and walk out our neighborhood. I believe we need to circle it around amongst each other to build each other socially, economically, and in every way that we can build each other. So that's what we have going on 191 Talbot. I'm very excited about the tenant that's been selected, but there's been some technical issues that we can't speak of yet, but we're trying to work it out, that it will have great impact to the neighborhood. So we're just hoping and keeping our fingers crossed, and praying to the man upstairs that this establishment and these entrepreneurs will be able to occupy the space. Looking to have the space leased and occupied by February 1st. That's with the residents and the commercial space as well. So that's the good news that's happening on 191 Talbot. And again, thank you for allowing me to speak tonight, Cynthia and the CDC. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, I'm here to answer.
Hi, I'm Christine Rose. I'm the co-founder of Four Corners Yoga and Wellness. And it'll be awesome that a tenant is agreeing to, come on in, and I'm looking forward to seeing who it will be. But I was just curious, are you going to be working with them, during this crazy time? Is so uncertain. I mean, I feel if I was to start and open a spot or sign a lease, it would be very scary. So I just hopefully, you sound like a person who's, committed about the community and want to see the business succeed. So I'm hoping that, I just wanted to know if you are working with them,
Absolutely, that was a great question, by the way. Thank you. Yes, so we put out an RFP for the space, and within that RFP, we were mostly looking for a person of color, particularly maybe a woman of color, to occupy the space. And the good thing about the project, actually, I should have mentioned this, that I didn't, is that on helping the entrepreneur, what we do is we're going to give $50,000 to the winner to build the suite out. And it'd be 10% below market rate rent for the next 5 years on the ground space. So not only do we want to help with financial, we also, and we're going to coach them all the way through from start to finish. If it's a startup business or it's an existing business that's expanding, so we get them from start to finish. And actually, I'm working with the architect and the contractors now to build out that space for that, for that tenant. And like I said, hopefully everything works out. I really, really wish I could reveal who it is at this point, but I can't. But we're working very close and working very hard to ensure that, that they have a great start, coach them all the way through from operation management all the way back to legal services. And this is all would be on our dime, the developers, to make sure that this business succeeds. And that's what we want to continue to do in Dorchester. We also we're going to be developing the old Roper garage that's on the corner of, it's 270 Talbot actually, which is on the corner of Millet, with that intersection of Millet and, I forget the other street to my right, but Millet Street, that ugly building that we're going to make look very pretty. Hopefully we would like to start construction in June of next year, hopefully. And so the same thing will be for the space as well. We'll have to put an RFP out, have entail the same details of giving finances to the winners of the spaces to help them get their business going. Like I said, and to coach them all the way through so they'll be successful. We're not here to say, hey, go on in, survive if you can, and with landlord shit just to take your money. No, absolutely not. We're trying to push through it and make some change and build some wealth within our community. Like I said, so that dollars can circulate around our community versus people coming in, thank you, and walking away. We want to circulate that and make sure everybody's benefiting of some type of degree, or so that's the answer to that question there, Ms. Christine.
So I have a quick question. So I like the idea of letting residents choose. Have you guys done this model before?
Yes, we have actually done this model before on 1452 Dorchester Ave, where we own that building as well. And I'm not sure if you guys heard of 50 Kitchen.
Yeah.
So that was done with 50 Kitchen. We did the same thing with 50 Kitchen. It was a competition. They won the competition, and we walked them through from start to finish, from the build out, contract, GC selection, architect selection. We walked away from the start to finish. And as it's unfortunate, we know about COVID. So they are having some little challenging times, but we are there still handing resources to 50 Kitchen to make sure that they do make it through this difficult time with COVID. So like I said, we will make sure that, you know, if you want to do the work, we'll help you do the work that you will succeed. So like I said, we're just not there to leash you up and say we want a paycheck every month.
Got it. So these, I guess, prospective business people that when they want to open their businesses, are you requiring them to like have money for startup? Or are you helping them with that as well? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, we help from start. That's what the 50K goes to, from startup costs. You know, from the scratch. If you would like to say that, we'll start from scratch. So we give them the business coaching, like I said, legal counseling, business operation management. You know, from start to finish. That if you have a dream and you want to try to make it happen, we're here to help you and to make that dream happen and to continue benefiting the neighborhood.
Got it. Is anybody bringing coffee? I know I keep talking about coffee.
There were two actually coffee shops that entered, but they withdrew after, you know, with COVID, and they didn't think they were going to be able to sustain through. But you know, we assured them that we'll be there to help them, but they decided that they withdrew.
Understood. I know I keep joking about coffee, but like that's one of the things that I really want to see in the neighborhood. I hope one comes by soon. But overall, like this is what we want to see. We want to see more of. Like we want to see developers that are really coming in and actually listening to the residents and actually doing, you know, what they say they're going to do. So I appreciate what you guys are doing. I'm sure the council also appreciate what you're doing, and we look to see more of you guys' projects in the future.
Appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Milton. We appreciate the update, and we appreciate the process. That's really what we want our developers and our landlords to be doing in the community, actually listening to residents, allowing us to have some say, and then bringing in something that'll be very popular that you already have done the research to determine so. So thank you very much. We'll stay tuned, because it seems like you're going to announce who's going to occupy the commercial space soon.
Yes, we'll be announcing early next week, Monday or Tuesday of next week. We'll have the winner announced.
Excellent. Okay. Well, we
Alrighty.
can't wait. Thank you again for your time and your attention.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Great. Moving along in the agenda, we will now hear from Marilyn Forman. I think she's on the call. She's going to be talking to us about the annual Hidden Heroes and Sheroes event. It's our first time doing it virtually, but it's such an important event.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Good evening, everyone. I'm sorry that I can't see your faces, but I'm here and I'm happy to be here and happy to be on here talking about our 2020 Hidden Heroes event. This is going to be different and new for us, but I think everything going forward is going to be new and different for everyone. So we've never gone this road before, so this is quite the experience. But we are excited about all of our awardees for that night. People who have been in the community doing yeoman's work, and to the point where, you know, it's just been so amazing, but it's normal for those folks. And they're not looking for praise or any type of recognition, but people see their good works and we want to honor them for how they give back in their communities. So on that night, we will celebrate 3, 6, is it 8 altogether or 7? Yeah, like 7 folks. 2 youth who have been doing outstanding volunteerism in the community, as well as 4 adults, 5 adults. 2 for civic awards, 2 for neighborhood leadership awards, and then we have a millennium award for someone who's just gone really above and beyond across both of those categories. And then youth who have been doing, again, outstanding work in their communities, but doing well and aspire to be something great and would love to be a part of some college institution community. So they will be given scholarships on that evening as well. yeah, this year it is going to be virtual, but it's going to be just as nice, and we have to make it that way. So we're inviting everyone to be a part of that. It's a free event virtually, but we are looking still for people to sponsor, and there are sponsorship opportunities available, like in the ad form. So there are different sizes, and I can't see. Cynthia, are you showing like the different sizes of the ads and stuff? Hello.
Yes.
Oh, okay. And what else? Yeah. And then there'll be opportunities. I mean, even all along, if you want to make donations. Last year, I think that we were blessed by God. We were blessed by God, and we were able to raise the money that we needed so that we're able to grant those young people the award. We're able to grant those awards for the young. I'm sorry, I'm being sorry, you guys. We were able to. We're going to be able to give those young people the 2 scholarships, but there is 2021, and we want to continue on with that entire legacy and program. This program was actually started by one of the people who started this was the Reverend Dr. Bill Loesch, and he has gone on to glory now, but he has left us to carry on this exciting opportunity, this event. And so, excuse me, we've changed the name of the scholarship fund to the Reverend Dr. Bill Loesch Scholarship Fund. And this year, on the 20th of November at 6 o'clock, I'm not saying that's when he was born, but it is his actual birthday. So we really want to celebrate that. And we're inviting everybody to be a part of that by making those donations so we can continue to gift our young people in the community. So spread the word. I know that there's flyers. If you go to the website, there's a link. You can go right on there and you can, donate. It would be wonderful. You can ask friends and relatives to also make a donation in the name of one of the awardees, or just to say great work, good job, or just cheer on the community, inspire others. And there will be nomination forms where if you believe that there's someone in the community who also needs to be recognized, who's not looking for that, but you see the work they're doing and many others are benefiting from it, then on that nomination form, you can turn that in and they could be part of next year's process. Not necessarily they'd be the winner, but, nominate them anyway, because we want to know who these people are and we want to honor them and pay tribute on that night. So I think I may have covered everything. I don't have any notes or anything with me. So if I forgot anything, Cynthia, please let me know.
That was very thorough, Marilyn, and I was showing the website as you spoke. Are there any questions about the annual Hidden Heroes and Sheroes event?
I'm sorry, say it again.
I'm just asking the group if there's any questions about the event. I'm going to put the link in the chat so that people can view the website. But it's going to be a phenomenal event. We're excited that we're still able to do it despite it being virtual. And we encourage you guys all to participate and support. And we actually have one of the hidden heroes on the call this evening. Rep. Holmes is our
Millennium. Oh, yeah.
So big congratulations to State Representative Russell Holmes, because he will be honored on November 20th for all that he's been doing for our community. Let's give him a round of applause.
Amen.
Anything else, Marilyn?
Well, I want to make my first donation for him for $50. I'm going to do that for Rep. Holmes. I'll probably do something for the rest of them, but I want to just start off by letting everybody know that's what I'm going to do tonight for him, because I know him. And I'm inviting anybody else. I mean, it doesn't have to be $50. It could be $10. But, go ahead and just kind of like let Cynthia know like what you want to bid, or just go online and do it right now. Get it out the way.
Christine had a question for you, Marilyn. Can you guys make the ad if I provide the business logo?
Absolutely.
We have a thumbs up.
Yay!
Four Corners Yoga. No other questions for Marilyn? You guys go to the website right now, get your tickets. They're free, and make sure to support the Hidden Heroes and Sheroes. These awardees have been really dedicating their lives to the Codman Square and Four Corners community, and they really deserve the praise and recognition. And make sure you support 2 young people. They need the help. They need the assistance and the funds for college, and they're very, very deserving. It's Keshler Sanin and Christian Macy.
Yeah, and you know, I forgot to mention, you know, the scholarships are like $1,500 now. You know, and if you know, like books are a lot of money these days, so they're gonna need it. They're gonna need that and much more. So we don't have our fundraising piece. We don't have our silent auction piece. We don't have the dinners and so forth and the tickets that we usually have, which help us to raise the money for that. So we really need your support, and we need the support of any one of your friends that can contribute as well, so that we can continue on. Okay, and that's it. I'm gonna be quiet now.
Thank you, Marilyn.
You're welcome.
Great. Okay, moving along in the agenda, we have Boston City Councilor Annissa Essaibi on the call tonight. She's going to be telling us what's been happening in the city and what's been happening in her office. Make sure she's on.
I'm here. Hi, everybody.
Hello. Welcome.
I'm coming to you from the car, so I'm sorry I'm here in the shadows, but just wanted to make sure I had a few minutes to say hello. Annissa Essaibi, at-large City Councilor. We've certainly been busy at City Hall and on the City Council, although many of us haven't been at City Hall regularly as it's closed most of the week, but just wanted to come and share a couple of things that are upcoming and a few things that we've been getting done through my office. Like Lucien, who I think is on the call this evening, is usually in your presence. I know most of it's been virtual, but we've had a couple of big things that we're pretty proud of getting through the City Council and through the Mayor's office over the last few months. One in particular, 2 weeks ago, we passed a needle or a sharps, safe sharps disposal ordinance here in the City of Boston. So very soon, I think it's been officially passed today, but in the next 6 to 12 months, all pharmacies in the City of Boston will have to have needle kiosks or sharps kiosks accessible by patrons for free disposal. As you know, we have a problem across our city with improperly discarded needles, but we also have so many of our residents that are either dealing with diabetes or taking B12 shots or use EpiPens or for infertility treatments and other treatments, other chronic illnesses. There's no proper way to dispose of needles for free, with the exception of 10 kiosks across our city. So once this ordinance is sort of fully put in place across all of our pharmacies in the city, we'll have 100 locations in across all neighborhoods in the City of Boston where our residents can dispose of needles for safely and for free. It is inappropriate to toss needles into household waste. It's inappropriate to flush them down toilets, and it's inappropriate to leave them in our streets, in our neighborhoods, in our playgrounds, etc. Proper disposal needs to be available. So we're really excited about this ordinance. It's taken us a number of years to get to this point where it's been sort of exhausted and edited and modified over the years. It is now passed the Boston City Council. Another piece of legislation that we are about to pass, it's been finally edited, and we are just working out some timing regarding the hiring of an advisor for the mayor on family homelessness. As many of you know, a big part of my work on the City Council has been to end family homelessness across our city. We have 5,000 students in the Boston Public Schools who are experiencing homelessness. If we don't name it, if we don't talk about it, and then we don't develop an action plan to end it, it's really hard to end family homelessness. So We have been working on this issue for the last few years, working in partnership with family shelters across our city and across the greater Boston region, because our families are housed outside of the city and sheltered outside of the city. But we've been working with families and young people with lived experience to get to this point where we have created a special commission in the city of Boston to end family homelessness that will be done in partnership with folks at the State House, both elected officials at the State House as well as those in the governor's administration, because we know that we need to do this work together. It's really important that state agencies, nonprofit organizations, and those with lived experience are at the table. We've drafted what we think is the appropriate action plan to take steps over the next few years to end family homelessness in the city, but we need to do it in a more formal way. And the mayor in this last budget cycle funded a position so someone could lead it. We've, at our office, we've worked tirelessly on this issue and really are ready to sort of wrap up our work in the way that we've been doing it and hand it over to an administrator to really sort of see the next leg of this effort through, certainly with a lot of others, including myself, to continue being at the table. Some of the other work at the City Council, I chair the Council's Committee on Education, and so much of our work over the last 6, 7, and 8 months, especially since schools closed last March, has been around reopening our schools, reopening them safely for our students, for our educators, for our school communities, so that kids can be back in the classroom where they really need to be to access their free and appropriate education. But certainly our highest need students, as you all know, we're back in school for a short period of time. We are now fully remote again, but working every single day to create opportunities for all of our students, but especially our highest need students, those who require significant special education resources and services, those that are second language learners, those that are experiencing homelessness, those that may be involved in state custody, if it is appropriate for them and it's best for them to access their resources in person, we want them in school. So we continue to work on that every day. I'm really excited about your Heroes event and look forward to sponsoring that. So I'll certainly get to the web after this and support that. And congratulations to Rep. Holmes for his recognition that evening. And then I'm also excited to hear next week about this new business coming to Codman Square and how I can be of any support. I'm happy to be. Milton, if you're still on, please let me know how I can be of support. So I'm going to stop there. I've said a lot, shared a lot. Happy to answer questions about anything and all things, especially COVID related. Thank you, Cynthia.
Thank you so much for taking time this evening to be with us. You know, it's been a crazy night. And thank you for your work with homelessness. This impacts all of the neighborhoods in the city of Boston. So please keep us posted on what we can do to be supportive as well.
Yeah, if I could just make a particular note about that, because I think we often just say, oh, it's happening in a few places or in a few schools or just a few communities are impacted by this. We have 125 schools in the Boston Public Schools, not including our charter schools, not including our parochial schools and private schools. Every school in Boston has students who are experiencing homelessness. And we've done some really creative stuff at the city around supporting some of our schools that have higher concentrations of homelessness for their families, but it truly is across the board. So anyone that is interested in becoming more involved and supporting some efforts, both for cities and then some of the organizations that I get to work with, I'm happy to take that. I've already put my email and my cell phone into the chat box.
Thank you so much. And thank you for making the point of saying families and individuals that are experiencing homelessness, because we try to make it a point to not call our families homeless, and we all need to be supportive in any way that we can. One of the questions here, the exam schools testing has been in the news recently. Do you have any updates on what's been going on with that matter?
Yeah, no, not very specifically. We've had a few questions that we've sent over to the school department clarifying some of this, some of the new policy that's in place. I'm happy to share those responses to those questions. Questions around grading protocols. There's some real concern around some inconsistencies when we think about how Boston Public Schools grades, how some of our charter school grades, and then our private and parochials grade. There's a little bit of an imbalance between those grading protocols. And then some of the concerns around the zip code use and making sure that it really does get to the place where we want it to, where it's intended to get to. I realize under my light, as if it was Halloween here with my lighting. So I'm happy to share the response to those questions that we've sent over as soon as I get them.
Excellent. Are there any other questions? If not, I really want to thank you and your team. It's wonderful, and thank you so much for supporting the Hidden Heroes and Sheroes event. We'll be following up with your office.
Yeah, no, it's really exciting. Thank you, and I hope everyone's well. I'm still, early, late winter, early spring, sort of through the thick of like March through the beginning of July. I was making a lot of cloth reusable and washable masks. We made about 7,000 of them, and I had a small army helping, and we were part of a larger effort called the Boston Area Mask Initiative. Myself and Karen from my office and a few other helping hands we're now at like probably 7,500 masks, but we raised, more importantly, both things are very important because everyone needs to be wearing a mask. We raised $32,000 for an organization called Winter Walk. But then Karen and I got a little tired. Need to take a little bit of a break. Thanks for the applause. But we've returned to doing a few hours. We've dedicated a few hours every Monday to making masks. So if you need masks or you have an organization in particular that needs masks, we're very happy to just give them. But we're also, if you're able to donate $5 per mask, we can continue adding to that 32,000 that we're raising for Winter Walk, which is an organization that supports lots of organizations doing work to end homelessness.
Is there any idea when schools will open back up again?
So great question. I am a parent of 4 high schoolers. I wish it was tomorrow. Part of why I'm in the car tonight is I just needed a little bit of a break. So I had just a household errand to run. So just to get out. So we are currently working very diligently, or the school district's working really hard to get school open quickly for the Horace Mann, which is school for the deaf and hard of hearing, for the McKinley schools, and for the Carter schools. So all 3 schools deal with a particularly vulnerable and high needs population. Those 3 schools are physically in a place where they can open. We're just really nervous about making sure that we're keeping kids safe. That's immediate on the docket. The next group of students who were already in school, if they opted into the opportunity, would be next on the list. I honestly, I don't see an opportunity for us, and then we'll go to the rest of the population of students in BPS. We're working on it every day to make it happen soon. I don't see sort of and I say this as a parent and someone who's deeply involved in these conversations, although this isn't the official word from anyone. I don't see schools opening for sort of the regular ed kids. I hate to describe them that way, but non-high need students, especially older high need students, until January. The priority list is high need, so Carter School, McKinley, and Horace Mann. We're hoping that could happen next week or the week after. The next group of students would be the rest of our special education students who are considered high needs, and then our babies. So we think about our kindergartners, first grade, second and third graders, those that are really still in the midst of building a foundation for learning, and then we would work our way up. Again, I have high schoolers. I don't think my boys who are in 9th and 10th grade will see the inside of a classroom until at the earliest January. Again, that's my opinion, my assessment of the current situation, not official word from the administration or the school department. I wish I was giving you better news.
That's the reality of it. Okay, if there are no other questions for the counselor, thank you so much for your time and attention.
No, thank you, Cynthia. I'll tune in for a little bit longer this evening. I do have another meeting. I said I'd catch their second half, but I am here and my contact information is in chat. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being present.
Thank you. Moving along in the agenda, we're going to hear from Chantal Barbosa. She's the community liaison for the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services.
Thank you, Cynthia. Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me tonight. As Cynthia mentioned, I am the liaison for the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. I do have a couple of updates while we're on the school theme in terms of remote learning. They are meal sites that families or of BPS or non-BPS kids that can actually pick up food for the 5 days of school. So I know that in the Codman Square, parents can actually go to the Lee School, 155 Talbot Avenue, and pick up school meals for that week. So they can go on a Saturday and pick it up. I can put the website for you all to see the full list of not only in Dorchester, but any other neighborhoods in the city of Boston that you might be interested in. Just to kind of go back on talk about a little bit about voting. The mayor did a press conference this morning where he stated that 255 persons reporting last night. That's a total of 274,344 Boston residents that cast their ballots so far. That's a turnout of 63.51% of registered voters here in the city of Boston. That includes early voting, in-person voting, and a large number of mail-in ballots. We are continuing to count the mail-in ballots postmarked by yesterday, which will be arriving through Friday. Results cannot be made official until after the deadline for overseas military and absentee ballots to arrive, which is November 13th. So these are not the final numbers. There's still a lot to be counted on. So we will wait until we're done counting these. Other than the elections, I know that Cynthia had asked updates about the library at the Codman branch. So Eamon Shelton from the library in Codman was give a couple of butters close to the library updates in terms of maintenance of the property, right? And he had stated that he had hired outside contractor to landscape and maintain the property going forward. He's actively working to remove the undefinable mulch on the premises, and he has said, moving forward, if there's been any concern, since it's been a couple of weeks since we had that meeting, that he's happy to have any of us reach out to him and let him know. I'll share his email and his cell number that he's allowed me to share with you all if you have any questions. In regards to the project itself, right now they're actually in the process of identifying the designer, but they're hoping that a community process for this, community meetings will start late spring, early summer. So that's where he's at with that. And I'll share the contact for him after I'm done with my updates. Other than that, there isn't any community, any abutters meetings that I'm holding in the Codman Square, but I'll definitely be sharing my calendar also in the chat. We are still holding meetings virtually through WebEx, which is a different platform than Zoom. I actually prefer Zoom, but we'll work with what we have for now. In my calendar, you'll see the address, you'll see the proposal, date, time, the link, but also phone number, because we know not everybody has access to a smartphone, laptop, or internet, so they can also call in. My next update is about the rental relief fund. If you know of any family, anyone right now in the city of Boston that is struggling to pay their rent, especially because if they were impacted by COVID and they're not receiving any other help either through the city or through the federal government, I will share that link as well. The application is still live. And if anything, you can also connect them with me directly, and I can make sure that housing stability has address their application, because we know in the past there've been a couple folks that didn't hear from them. So if we have any of those cases, please also send it my way. Again, COVID is still around. The Governor Baker did make some announcements early this week about some restrictions with some establishment and businesses in terms of capacity, in terms of hours of operation. I will also share the specifics of that through the chat. In the city of Boston, we'll be implementing those. A lot of the difference is still the capacity. We're still not, we're seeing our numbers increasing a lot, which impacted BPS going back to being fully remotely. And we are going to continue to look at the data. The mayor is going to continue to work with the experts in the various fields to make the right decision of, you know, what it is to go back to normal, especially to our BPS family. So that's where we're at right now. Cynthia, let me know if there's any questions from you or from anybody that's here.
There's a question in the chat. Are there any updates on Popeyes?
I haven't heard from nobody. And I reached out to the licensing board and nobody has reached out to them either. So it's pretty much just sitting there as of right now. But yeah, I know that's one thing. As soon as anybody hits me up, there's a few people that I have to call right away. But no, we have not heard from folks that were a part of that project at all.
Another question. We saw correspondence about funds allocated to the Codman Square Library. Are you familiar?
Where? Who's asking that?
This was sent to me.
Oh, not that I know of, but I can share Eamon's information, and he has asked if anyone has any questions about it. Feel free to add me to the email, but not that I know, not that I know of. I can get back to y'all with that.
A question here, Victor. How can we get a dog park in the neighborhood?
You can reach out to the parks if there's a friend. You know, which park are you talking about? A whole different park, like create a specific park just for dogs, or implementing it on an existing park?
Victor?
It could be either or. I just feel like there's a lot of dogs in the neighborhood, and there's no parks where you could take them and socialize them.
Yeah.
So I think that would be great.
Victor, once I put my email in the chat, I can connect you actually with my predecessor, Christine Brandao. She's now the community outreach at Parks, and we can see what that process looks like. I know that, you know, if there were any parks development and people were still asking for input, a lot of folks have been asking for that for like new development in terms of parks. Cynthia, I'm not sure if the Codman Square Park is still receiving feedback right now from the community of what they would like to see, but the Parks Department would be the better department to help us navigate that process, if it's like a new project or if it's at an existing park. But we definitely have seen those type of infrastructures in the city of Boston. So I'll connect you with Christine.
Thank you. I also have another question. Is it possible for us to get more public dumpsters on the main roads like Norfolk Street? Because I see there are some like leading more towards Washington Street, but
Sure.
I feel like there's a lot of trash sometimes in the neighborhood because there's no place that people could throw the trash.
Yeah.
And I do see some neighbors that they put their dumpsters closer to the street, so like people that are walking by could throw their trash in the dumpsters, which is great, but it would be nice to have more dumpsters like along the main streets.
Especially the main streets, especially our business district. So what I would recommend you to do is, if you have a smartphone device, you can download the 311 app, get the case number, send it, you can reach out to Public Works and make sure it gets addressed. So that has been how they've been asking me to get the constituents to put a case. Give me the case number and I'll get in touch with the Public Works contact that I have, which is Eric Prentice. He's pretty awesome. He's pretty responsive to me. So I'll put my email on the chat and we can stay connected, Victor.
Awesome. Thank you.
Any other questions for Chantal?
Thank you, Cynthia.
Thank you. Before we move on to our last presenter, I had a quick question that was sent to me. It was with regard to the Hidden Heroes and Sheroes event. If someone would like to sponsor the scholarship, should they go to the website or send a check? You can do either one. On the website, you can pay through PayPal, or you can send a check to the Codman Square Neighborhood Council at 14 Euclid Street, Dorchester, Mass. 02124, and all that information is on the website. Great, thank you, Chantal. Moving along in the agenda, we will now hear from our very own Hidden Hero 2020, State Representative Russell Holmes. Please let us know what's been going on at the state level and with your office.
All right, thank you so much, Cynthia, team. Thanks, of course, for the nomination and award as a Hidden Hero. I put a thumbs up, and certainly I will, as always, support the event, particularly now. I'm obviously one of the folks who are being recognized. So have a lot. So I just wanted to kind of start with, I think we all know we voted yesterday. And for those who don't know what the final tally was on question one, I think the percentages for winning was 75% yes, somewhere in the neighborhood of about 24, 25% no. So it's interesting about how much money, that was the most expensive ballot question in the history of the Commonwealth. And so much money was spent on trying to convince us to do something that we as a collectively said no. Very little money was actually spent on the no option, but it was interesting how much was spent to advocate to say that we should do it. So, I mean, on the opposite, so much was spent on trying to get us to be scared and all of the other stuff, where most of us decided that wasn't the right way. So, I'm sure, you know, as often, just for you guys to get a sense of what happens next. Of course, that bill was written by proponents. And so rest assured, the legislature isn't going to just let some law just pass right by us without us tweaking it a little bit. So know that we're going to tweak it before it comes into law to get our hands on it now that we've heard from you guys. And then question two was on ranked choice voting. That was actually pretty close for a while, but then in the end, it became a no. So 55% of the Commonwealth said no, we do not want ranked choice voting. And 45% of us said yes. That has been something that had been tossed around for years at the State House. Obviously, we saw today that Maine did it, and Susan Collins still won, even though there was this whole, coup basically being designed by the Democrat and the Independent, thinking that the Independent votes would automatically go to help the Democrat, but that did not work. So we as a state said no to that, and there's obviously no need for the legislature to tweak that because we have heard what the Commonwealth wants to do with both of those. Any questions on those before I move forward? If not, I want to just kind of talk through something that was not discussed when Councilor Essaibi came and presented her presentation around schools, and very much appreciate her doing that, was the big contentious thing that has happened over the last month is around exam schools. And so for those who don't know, we have 3 exam schools here in the city, and those exam schools are disproportionately represented by Asian and white children. And there has been a really contentious thing for years around what to do about the fact that we essentially have a school system that is just about 80% Black and Latino and is very well underrepresented at our exam schools. So much has been said about why it happens. Certainly, I'm not a believer that our Black and Latino kids are less capable than our white kids or our Asian kids. And there are so many reasons for it. And I guess my challenge is we have many folks who, if you look at where the kids come from before they go into our exam schools, you'll essentially see many folks are in where they're paying for school, whether it be private school, parochial schools, they're paying, or they're paying tutors, and they're making sure that their children are very well prepared for these tests. I can give you my personal experience when I tested. I was at a middle school not far from Codman Square at the time. It was called the Thompson. So I went to the Thompson, which is just down the street on Maxwell Street. And my experience was that I showed up at school one day and someone said, hey, hon, here's a test. We're taking a test today. So no preparation. Didn't know I was going to take that test. Didn't even know what the test was for, quite frankly, when I took the test. And fortunately, I tested well enough that I got into Latin. But again, me being from the South, my parents never together since I was a child. My mom and dad, they would bounce me back and forth. Sometimes I would be in school here in Boston. Sometimes I'd be in school in Mississippi. And so after my 8th grade year, no big deal, I took the test. I think I might have told my dad, not even sure if I told him what they told me that I got into Latin. But my mom, being in Mississippi, never knew what the Latin meant. So she said, no, he's coming home this year. So I spent the 9th and 10th grade back in Mississippi. And then my dad says I'm taking him for the last 2 years. And I never thought about it. He just put me in a local school where I ended up at Hyde Park. And never thought, I thought when I came back, I said, oh, I tested to go in Latin. And I was told then, no, you can only go in Latin at a certain grade. I tell you that experience because, you know, folks say, yeah, we should be trying to make sure we also concentrate on folks who are English language learners, those who are immigrants. This is also happening within Black families. I spoke English. We were a middle-class family, but still we didn't pay a whole bunch of attention. So it's not just immigrants and folks who are at ELL. It's a lot of us who are disadvantaged in this system. And so the new makeup this year will be that there will be a zip code that's being used. So the top 20% of all students will still get into our exam schools. And then there's a process that will then proportionally give students with at least a B average the opportunity by zip code and their proportion of how they represent the population, the larger population, to be able to get into one of the schools. And there will be a rotation where you'll go through all the zip codes and then eventually fill the exam seats that way. Clearly, this was a very contentious hearing. It went on for, I think, until about 2 o'clock in the morning, and then it was voted 7-0 that they would move forward with this process. Clearly, the biggest challenge there is the folks who are being disadvantaged feel as though, no, this is an opportunity to go and wreck a system that they've been gaming forever, and then that we will probably never go back. Who knows what's going to happen next? But there was a very bad incident that happened where the chair of the school board took a moment that he didn't know who was on a hot mic and made fun of one of the children's names and how to pronounce it. And not of course, but then the next day after he understood it, he came up with what I thought a very lame excuse for why he had done it, but then he resigned. And so for those who are not familiar with that, just know that it was quite contentious. We hope that we'll have a solution that after this, COVID has made us look at all things different. But then after this, we surely need to look at how we handle our exam schools. I believe, I'm a firm believer, that we should not go back to a system that advantages the privileged and advantage those who can have their knowledge around schools be something that, you know, from my perspective, they start, like for middle-class Black kids for many, many years, the moment you had a baby, you send them over to the METCO list. That was unfair. And so Millie and her team at METCO are now saying, no, we're going to now have a very different system for how kids enter METCO. It should be not just be people who can get hooked up. And then, of course, we went through this challenge with charter schools where folks felt we were just creaming and taking just the best kids and not taking the kids that are having more challenges with learning. So obviously now we've gotten to a much more lottery system. They've dealt with that. And just now I appreciate when now they said, well, here are the kids who tested and did not get into the lottery, and here are the kids who didn't, and here's how the kids who performed that got into the school has. And so I'm hoping that something happens with our exam schools that is similar. Obviously that's not state, but certainly I feel as though as one of the folks who provide a lot of money, not as much as I'm sure Annissa would like, the $200-some-odd million that ends up mostly at our charter schools. We're gonna get to that fight right now. I still think I should be able to have a comment. So any questions on that? I don't know how much time I have. I know you guys like to limit me, but I have a couple more things, but if not, I can do it another day if that's more convenient. Any questions, or can I go on to a couple more things?
Please continue.
All right, on the masks, thanks Annissa for what she's been doing around masks and all those masks. I also got a phone call today, just want to let folks know, I got a phone call from Leonard Lee, who, if some of you may not have seen, he's been in papers, on television. He's been having this major effort around masks, and he's explicitly asked today if there are organizations in the neighborhood that would like to have masks so that we can deliver them. I don't know if you guys would be interested in doing that, but he typically shows up with hundreds of masks. Maybe we can try to do something in Codman Square at a park, at the farmer's market. That's something so that we can hand out masks while we're doing that. I definitely would like, while you're at the farmer's market or something, I think we should definitely try to consider that, because Leonard literally lives down the street from Codman Square. So let's try to make sure that a person who basically lives in Codman Square supports Codman Square. You guys have mentioned something about parks. I can tell you we've gotten into something a little bit contentious with the Rock Neighborhood Association, in that there's a development coming up where the old police station used to be. Two things at Rock that has been a little bit contentious. Some of you were at the Norfolk Bridge discussion that the bridge is going towards Walgreens from where you are if you're in Codman Square. Built in 1986. Quite frankly, it was a surprise to me the amount of anger that has resulted from the Rock conversations around the fact that the unfortunate problem when they built the bridge, they built the sides of the bridge too high. So if you are short or a child, you can't be seen, and if you're walking across the bridge. And that has become, here in the last month or so, a very big concern. I had the state go and check to see, was the bridge structurally sound? It is structurally sound. But there are a list of things, such as, hey, let's get new lighting. Chantal, the whole city folks, Giselle and the whole team worked to get us some new lighting out there. The state came back and we cut back some of the trees so that the branches and stuff that were leaning over that were just, interrupting the line of sight, we cut those back. We came and did some repairs to just some of the cement and the walkways. And we, of course, removed graffiti and things of that nature. There were a list of things that they wanted us to consider. We did those things, and still we had a meeting where 40 to 50 people showed up on the bridge to kind of say, Rep. Holmes, this needs to be done. And so I said to the Rock Neighborhood Association, essentially, you guys have asked us to do 8 things or 9 things, whatever there were. I'm agreeable to the 8 or 9, from naming the bridge to putting different murals and things of that nature on the bridge. But the one thing they want most is for me to go, that they had asked, and just cut the bridge and cut really the structural integrity of the bridge. And we're challenged on that. And so we're going to go out and we're going to hopefully maybe lift the walkway so that when someone's walking, you can then be able to see them. That might be an end solution, with some engineers come out and try to get that done. And the last thing about what they're talking about was we had made a decision some years ago when we built the bridge over at Morton Street, that where the old police station was the staging area. So we knocked down the old police station, staged all of that equipment, how we brought that, if you guys recall, we brought that bridge in on Morton Street over a weekend. And then now we cleaned up that site, and the Oldham Park was going to be in the back near, obviously, Corbett and the Oldham's family. And then we're going to build some units with some housing and things of that nature. Well, through COVID, some of the Rock members have felt like they don't want the building there anymore. They would much rather have an entire park on that commercial district. Again, we don't agree with that. I think we should have a great building that's on our commercial district that adds more vitality and adds more people, because of the fact that we need our stores to be stronger. And we do have a green space. We are going to build the green space for Oldham. And as some of you may know, we're building at Thetford and Evans. We're improving that park. We obviously have done Roberts Playground. We are spending millions and millions and millions of dollars at Harambe Park. So to say that we have no green space, I just can't come to that conclusion as well. I would say no, that is not the case. We're obviously building at Norfolk Street. It's getting millions of dollars. We've just done the Greenway. So just know Rock is going to be upset with me a little while, because I said no. I'm going to continue to do a commitment that we made 3 or 4 years ago to build a building, to build ownership, and to build affordable housing, regardless of whether COVID is going on. And on a dog park, I think Cynthia or Marilyn or somebody, I think it may have been Marilyn, had the meeting with me over there. I think it was Marilyn, had the meeting with me over at on Woods Road, where there's a lot.
Yeah, it was me.
We're thinking about putting a dog park at the lot near Harry's house. So I don't think we need to recreate the space. I think that's what you guys already were saying you might want to do it, because we actually had like a dog day and had people come out. So maybe we can just expand on that original idea of putting it over there by Woodrow. That's close enough. That was it. That's all I got for now.
Very thorough, Rep. Holmes. Marilyn, did you want to comment on the dog park idea, Woodrow?
No, I know that we were talking about it, but we had some opposition by a neighbor. So we were working with Shawnee from the city. So we thought, rather than, make somebody unhappy, we'd look for a new location. So,
okay. Well, just know you're going to get some opposition from every neighbor.
Right.
Come on. If the neighbor doesn't have a dog, you're going to get opposition. That's just the way this thing works.
Yeah. Well,
I thought it was a great location, quite frankly.
Let's loop Victor into the conversations about the dog park because he seems really interested in making something happen.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Rep. Holmes, with regard to Rock, I've had conversations with Trina from Rock, and I know they've been waiting a very long time for that green space for the peace. But in the event that things move forward with the commercial space, will the residents have any say with regard to the occupants of the commercial space? Are you aware of what that process might look like?
I guess I can just say they have been very involved from the beginning. They agreed to it from the beginning. And it depends on, like I heard the idea today about the gentleman giving $50,000. That is certainly not what the type of funds that this person will have. I don't know if you remember who it was, but the Caribbean, whatever he calls it, the place is much more of a nonprofit. They won't be able to go give someone $50,000. But of course, I would say the Rock Group have been resistant to the words affordable housing, even though this is not like low income. This is more moderate income affordability. But there have been some resistance around who's in that house. And it's just, I struggle with it, quite frankly, when we say we want more affordable units and more places for people to live affordably. And then when I bring you 40 units, you really don't want it because you're homeowners and you don't want these renters in your neighborhood. I struggle with that. I really do. So on the commercial piece, I can find out how much involvement, but he's going to just, of course, be trying to find a good tenant. So I'll make sure he reaches back out to Trina. And I did ask Trina and her group to call him because it was going to be a surprise to him like it was to me and Sheila and everybody else that they had made a commitment and now they wanted to retract that commitment.
Okay.
Okay.
Any updates on cannabis on Washington Street? The two applicants, 533 and 570?
I think both applicants have been approved. So that was something that we were not trying to have happen. And I can tell you, I think there was some politics to that. And the politics of that, Sheroes is a very political person that's also involved. And there was some recommendation letters written by some of our electeds. And we had a conversation just around, hey, if we're going to do that, it might be nice to check in with the local electeds before we do that again. So I have talked to the mayor explicitly. He got a phone call the same day I called you, Cynthia, saying that this is the stupidest idea in the world, that I can't pick one, that I have to now legally, because some lawyer says, hey, we can't pit one against another. That's a stupid system. I only want one in my neighborhood. And so if we're still working on that, but I don't have a good answer except for just know the mayor still treats that state rep district as though it is his, and not like it's like he's not the mayor of the city. He's the mayor of the city and he's the state rep, because he's never going to leave that seat in his mind, even though Dan Hunt has the seat. And so he didn't like that there were going to be two coming into Codman Square as well. And so I was just asking him, look at this process and see what we can do. And we talked about it for about 10 or 15 minutes, and he said he's going to get back to me.
Okay, well, thank you for that update. Keep us posted.
Yep.
And also thank you for sharing your personal experience with the exam schools. I personally attended Boston Latin Academy, and it's definitely a situation where you need to prepare and advocate for yourself if you're a student in the exam schools, and a lot of families don't have resources or the know-how to do those things. So I'm glad that we're having these conversations and figuring out a better way.
And having them frankly, tell them the truth.
Yes, yes. Any other questions for the state rep? If not, we will move on to announcements and new business. Are there any announcements? I do have one here. The Brigham and Women's Hospital Center for Community Wellness, they're located at Sportsman's Tennis. They are hosting community conversations, and on Tuesday, November 10th at 7 p.m., there will be a conversation about demystifying sleep and ways to have more restful sleep. These community conversations are extremely informative. You have oftentimes the medical team from Brigham and Women's Hospital giving you like exclusive information about research that's being done or efforts that are taking place at the hospital or in the city. So I will put the information in the chat, but I encourage you guys to participate. Another push for Hidden Heroes and Sheroes, November 20th. The information is in the chat. Support, sponsor by putting in an ad, donate to the youth scholarships, attend, it's free. And let's honor our Hidden Heroes and Sheroes for 2020, especially Rep. Holmes, who's on the call. Any other announcements? New business? Oh, we have one here. Christine, do you want to just share it?
Yeah, I just put it in the chat, but I just wanted to, this is my first meeting because I didn't realize you guys were meeting through Zoom till recently. But anyhow, Four Corners Yoga and Wellness is open for business since June, massages in July, yoga. We have 4 in-studio classes, and we're COVID ready. We only have a capacity for 7 students on the mat in the yoga classes, and the massages, we wear our masks, and you are welcome to come in for massage, reflexology, or whatever you need 7 days a week. So just wanted to let you know. And the rest of the classes, 11 of them are streamed online through Zoom. So most of the time they're evening class at 6 p.m., but we do have 2 classes at noon, Mondays and Fridays. So thank you.
Thank you. Other comments or announcements? New business? If not, our next meeting is Wednesday, December 2nd, 7 p.m., same place. And I want to thank all of you for your time tonight. I know it's been a wild day following the election, and I appreciate you sharing your evening with all of us. Thank you all so much.